Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we've got a Perfumers portfolio, and it's going to be on a controversial perfumer who's been in the news lately with the new release. But first, before we get into the Perfumers portfolio, there's something I want to address in Fragcomm. So if you've been watching my videos, you know that 99.9% of the people who subscribe to my channel are supportive, caring. We share ideas, we share thoughts, we share decants with each other, we give recommendations. It's almost like we really are a small perfume family. However, there is a small portion, and I'm going to say it's like less than 1%, probably like more like 0.1% to be honest with you, that really try to tear people down. What kind of man creates multiple YouTube profiles just to go on there and troll somebody? Who does that? You know, you guys haven't seen him because I've been blocking him. If I said his name, you would know exactly who it is. I know who it is. But honestly, I don't even want to give him the time of day. But what's the matter with you people? I mean, did you not get enough love from mom? I mean, are you that, is your life that sorely devoid of happiness that you literally will go on there and create multiple YouTube profiles just to troll somebody you're jealous of? That's the kind of behavior that really brings Fragcomm down. If you watch my videos, you will know that I don't do cuts. There's no, there's no stopping for me. I press play and I talk for an hour, sometimes 2 hours, as my last video was seen. And many of the attacks on me that I've been deleting have been about me pausing or saying something like or trying to gather my thoughts. I would love to see you get on here and do an hour or two video without giving your brain any time to pause. That's going to happen. In fact, I will say that if you don't like it, don't watch. That's the beauty of it. You can spend your time more productively doing whatever the hell else you do other than troll somebody that you're jealous of. However, that is a very small percentage of the fragrance community, I'm going to say. Most of the people that I've come across, that I've encountered in this little journey of mine, and I haven't even been doing this a year yet. The year anniversary comes up around Christmas. But most of the people that I've come across have been supportive. They've been knowledgeable. They've been caring. It's a passion for them. It's something that they really care about. And when, two people or a group of people are passionate, magic happens, It really is a environment where everyone can thrive, everyone can learn. We really lift each other up. When I first started doing these videos, I remember the feeling of being in a family, people really saying encouraging things about about me creating the videos and the content that I was making and that kind of thing. And it really encouraged me to keep going forward. That's the kind of thing that a normal human does for another human, especially someone who shares a similar interest. But this drama in Fragcomm, it's really, it's the Big Lebowski. It's 8-year-olds, dude. 8-year-old. It really is like dealing with 8-year-olds. The jealousy is pathetic. And, everyone, when I first started kind of getting into this, I remember getting invited onto some of these streams that I declined. And I remember kind of weighing the option of, hey, you're going to get a lot more subscribers if you go do that, but you're going to have to go into a snake pit, basically, a viper pit. And again, I'm not going to say any names, but I will say that I decided to decline and say no and kind of just continue to do my own thing. That's what I wanted to do. And people warned me, hey, they're going to try to drag you into the drama. And it's something that I never wanted. That's not why I'm here. I'm not here to argue with you guys. And if I did, I would win. Because, again, I'm going up against 8-year-olds, jealous 8-year-olds. And that's what they're trying to do. So you guys haven't seen any of the comments on the videos because I've been deleting them. But just think about the kind of person that would create multiple accounts, YouTube accounts, just to troll somebody. It's really pathetic and sad, and I really do feel sad for you. And how devoid of happiness your life must be that you have to try to drag somebody else down. It's really pathetic. So with that said, to the 99.9% of people in Fragcomm who are genuine, honest, who aren't here for the drama. If you want drama, go watch WWE wrestling. You know, go watch one of those terrible shows on TV, The Masked Singer or some crap like that that no one else watches. If you're here for fragrance content, those are the kind of people that I want. And in fact, you go tell all your friends that don't watch him, boycott him. You know, I don't want you as a subscriber if you're going to be the kind of person that drags someone down. And so, you know, unsubscribe, don't watch. I don't care. I'm going to continue doing what I love to do. I mean, I've really enjoyed this little 9-month journey so far. I've uncovered I've uncovered many revelations as far as new fragrances, new connections, new friends, new trains of thought in the fragrance industry that I would definitely do it again. 100%. I would do it all over again, and I would do it exactly the same way I did it. I don't do any I don't do any you know, fancy graphics on the screen. You know, I don't do cuts. This is just me turning on the camera and talking as if we're friends. And 99.9% of you are. To the 0.1% that are just trying to bring someone down, go try to bring someone else down. You know, get off my channel. I don't want you here. I'm not going to let that. I'm not going to let something like that bring down the beautiful, you know, culture that we've created here. I really consider it like a culture. And when you think about Ramsey, the Ram, you think about Rich Mitch, the Duck, you think about Eugene, you think about these kind of guys. You know, I think that we have a special bond and a special group, and then you add Thomas and Galen, and we're just perfume lovers. I mean, that's what we are. If you're here for the drama, go somewhere else. So, with that being said, let's talk about the reason that we're here, and it is a Perfumers portfolio video. So I've initially come up with maybe 3, 4, 5 different types of videos so that I could talk about fragrances. It's a great excuse to talk about fragrances in a different light. And the ideas that I came up with were things like by year, you know, by house, by perfumer, by ingredient. This year this is not a top 10 was all about highlighting an ingredient. Yesterday I did almost a 2-hour video on carnation. You know, that's the kind of thing that that I hope can kind of be a reference for people that want to learn more about specific notes and fragrances they may not know about and that kind of thing. So this is a Perfumers portfolio, and it's going to be on Maurice Roucel. Now, Maurice Roucel, I'll give you a little bit of his background. According to the FREDERIC MALLE website, it says, one of our legendary perfumers, Maurice Roucel joined Chanel's laboratory as a chemist in 1973, and since then has been a self-taught perfumer. Although his legendary olfactory style is now characterized for the most part by opulent sensuality, sprung from his preference for musk, white flowers, and amber, the precise methodology of his original profession has remained. Roucel's strong personality allows him to bypass trends, as was the case in 2001 with Musk Ravageur, which we'll get to. The perfume shocked the whole perfume industry, only to be recognized today as the Sistine Chapel of the soft amber tradition. Now, there are some fragrances from him that obviously I don't own. I've never smelled. He's got a lot of works. He's been at it since 1973 as a chemist, as we just read. But he has a new release, and this is where the this is where the controversy kind of comes in. Is the new release is called Uncut Gem, and someone I really trust, Rich Mitch, he did a early impression video on Uncut Gem and basically trashed it worse than I've ever seen him trash anything before. He said it smells like a mixture of that white, boring musk from Maison Francis Kurkdjian and a blend of just like the Dior, Sauvage, and Ambroxan. So it smelled kind of cheap and mass appealing and that kind of thing. And apparently ambroxanide is the ingredient that they really overdosed in Uncut Gem. And the story was that it was a fragrance that Maurice Roucel created for himself. And Frédéric Malle, the brand, said that many other houses tried to talk Maurice Roucel into releasing as a fragrance, and he kept saying no for years, like 5 or 10 years. He said no. Excuse me. And then finally he gave in and they worked on a fragrance together, him and FREDERIC MALLE, and it became Uncut Gem. Well, Rich Mitch had mentioned it smells like a cheap cross between the white musks of Maison Francis Kurkdjian and Nautica Voyage. And interestingly enough, I don't know if you guys know this, but Maurice Roucel created Nautica Voyage. And so it's interesting that Rich Mitch mentioned Nautica Voyage. I don't think I mentioned him say in his video or live stream that Maurice Roucel was the creator of Nautica Voyage. So it's a very interesting comparison. But for $400 for Uncut Gem, to have a Nautica Voyage vibe is, that's a tough one. So, so let's get started. This is going to highlight some of the perfumes in my collection from Maurice Roucel. We're going to talk about some full bottles. We're going to talk about some decants that I plan on doing videos on very soon. First, we're going to do scent of the day. Excuse me whilst I hydrate. Okay, so first we're going to do scent of the day. And scent of the day is a fragrance that has gotten a lot of talk on my channel as of late. Unfortunately, it is discontinued. And it's a Tom Ford private blend, which are not cheap. And so Rachel, who is somebody who you see in the comments all the time, and she sent me many of the decants from Maurice Roucel we're going to talk about. He is her favorite perfumer, if I'm not mistaken. She had mentioned that somebody else actually made Vert d'Encens. I can't remember who it was that she said, but if you'll leave it in the comments, Rachel, I will pin your comment so that everyone can know who you say the perfumer of Vert d'Encens actually was. But here it is. So it's Tom Ford Vert d'Encens, which basically means green incense. Now, this only came out in 2016. Parfumo lists Jan Vasnier, Antoine Maisondieu, and Shyamala Maisondieu, which were a husband and wife team. But Rachel claims that someone else actually made it and that person is going to be starting a new brand very soon. So if that's true, I'll be very interested to try this gentleman's new brand. So Vert d'Encens is basically this oily, it starts off with very oily resins. So you get like frankincense. It smells like frankincense oil. It almost smells a little bit like the frankincense oil that you get in the new Amouage Royal Tobacco, which I did an early impression video on. If you want to go watch that video, you can. And pine resin. So there's resins, fir balsam, and then there's lavender. And there are some green notes. So you get a little bit of basil, some spices, and there's this tree sap. So the fragrance really does go on your skin oily. I sprayed this maybe 15, 20 minutes ago. Look at that. It's just like an oily sheen, and it's probably from the resins. But it's green, resinous, it's beautiful. I mean, it smells like an enchanted forest. It smells like amazing high-quality frankincense. Frankincense is one of my favorite notes to wear in the autumn and winter. I love incense, and I love it when it's done right. I have many incense fragrances, and this is one of my favorite. And in fact, it's one of my favorite private blends. I would say, you know, Tuscan leather is probably ahead of this just because of how my love of leather. But Vert d'Encens is one that really doesn't get the credit or the recognition that it deserves. And if you can pick this up for like $160 like I did, now that's a fantastic, I mean, that's less than it was going for when it was being sold at the counter. And so, you know, now I do see some crazy prices though. I mean, I saw a bottle of this for like $800 on eBay. Don't even consider paying those kind of larcenous prices. But if you find it for a good price, grab it, snatch it up, because it's one of the better incense fragrances created, in my opinion. There's also apparently some people compare it to Arso by Perfumum Roma, and I think that also has resins, but I don't own any Perfumum Roma fragrances. I do own there is a SERGE LUTENS that escapes my mind. Filin Agile. If you own Filin Agile, I think you have kind of an idea of what Arso smells like. I don't think this smells as much like Filin Agile. Maybe Arso smells more like Filin Agile, so I don't know how close Arso is to this because I've never smelled a Perfumum Roma fragrance ever. But I do hear they're very linear, and One of the most amazing notes in this that I was just, you know, gawking at all day is this heliotrope. And heliotrope adds this almost like this memory foam quality. Like you squish it and it pops right back. That's the vibe. Or if you've ever had like a dentist make a mold of a tooth and they put that putty in there and pull it out and it keeps the mold, that putty vibe is what heliotrope feels like to me. Purple putty, you know, floral mixed with those resins and the frankincense, which is very green here. And so it's not like the smoke that you get in Fil en Aiguille. Fil en Aiguille feels very smoky, like a forest on fire. This feels more like oily, lemony, piney, resinous frankincense, like you just plucked it from the tree. Oh, it's just beautiful. I love this scent. Love it. So you'll see more of this on my channel, but this was my scent of the day today, Vert d'Encens. So let's talk about Maurice Roucel. We're going to go back to, again, he released his first fragrance in the 70s, I believe, even though Editions de Parfum Frédéric Malle said he was a chemist in 73, I don't think he released his first scent until the end of the 70s, but that's kind of when he cut his teeth in the fragrance game, if you will. But the first scent that I have is from 1994. And again, it's courtesy of Rachel. So thank you for sending these, Rachel. I will do some, I'm going to wear this as my scent of the day very soon and talk about it because it is considered to be one of the primo iris fragrances in the world. It is Iris Silver Mist. So Iris Silver Mist is supposedly this powdery floral fragrance, and I just got some on my nose. That's the second time that's happened to me. Yesterday it was Eau Sauvage that attacked my lip. Now it's Iris Silver Mist. But I haven't smelled this yet. I haven't sprayed it because I only have a decant and I'm cherishing it. I'm going to cherish it for my full wear. But what it's supposed to be is a powdery floral iris with clove, benzoin, a little bit of green galbanum to add some contrast, white amber, frankincense, sandalwood, cedar, and vetiver. It's supposed to be a very serious iris scent, almost like a cold, calculating iris is the way that I think of Iris Silver Mist. Rainy day iris, and but I can't wait to do a video on this. Thank you for your kindness, Rachel, and you're going to hear that a couple times in this video because she sent me many samples from him because he is her favorite perfumer. Okay. So next is going to be an Hermes, and we're jumping to the next year, 1995. So Iris Silver Mist is 1994, and this is 1995. This is 24 Faubourg. Now, 24 Faubourg is one of the best-selling feminine targeted releases from Hermes, and it's Maurice Roucel and Bernard Bourgeois. It's hyacinth. So it's a big floral. It's a spicy floral with touches of fruit. So there's hyacinth, ylang, gardenia, which makes it very unique. You don't see many gardenia notes pop up in perfumery. With iris, again, so he's fresh off of Iris Silver Mist. Iris is here as well. Jasmine. Now this one I have smelled, and I do like it. I don't know if I like it enough that I want to go buy a bottle, but she had sent me this because she was saying that she thinks there's a difference between the Maurice Roucel vintage versions from the 90s and 2000 or in early 2000s and then the Jean-Claude Elena reformulation that was done. But so this is the Maurice Roucel version. And so this is has a couple strange notes. Like I said, gardenia is one, common elder is another, orange blossom, amber, patchouli, sandalwood, and vanilla base. And it is a good floral fragrance. I wore Jean Patou 1000 to bed last night. I liked it. I didn't love it. I actually expected more. But I also wore a couple of my newer acquisitions. I wore Pure Leather by Thierry Mugler. That's a really good fragrance. I really like that one. And I wore Noble Leather by YSL on so I wore the 1000 on my wrist and the Pure Leather, and I wore the what's the YSL? I just said it. Noble Leather on this elbow crux. That's what I do. I'll spray here, 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 here if I'm trying to test new stuff. And even after kind of scrubbing some of those off, they were both relatively strong leather scents. I really enjoyed both of those, but I've worn that one to bed before, and so I kind of have an idea of what it does, but I'll do a full wear and do a video on it one day soon as well. But if you're into, you know, that Hermes quality florals, 24 Faubourg is a good scent. I just don't know if I like it enough to go spring for a full bottle. And then in the late 90s, 1999, he released a scent that is regularly compared to a Bond No. 9 fragrance called New Harlem. And that scent is ROCHAS Man in the crazy, you could say lava lamp. You know, if you had a imagination, you could say this looked like many other things. But ROCHAS Man, 1999. What's interesting about this is that ROCHAS Man came out actually first. So ROCHAS Man came out in 1999. Then New Harlem came out in 2003. So this is what inspired New Harlem. It's a sweet gourmand, and to be fair, you know, it is extremely sweet. I mean, if you want to smell a sweet coffee, lavender, you know, musky, vanilla, lots of sweetness in here, and it's not really my style. There is some patchouli, which makes it a little bit more bearable. The raspberry note is relatively well done, but it is very, very sweet. And what you'll notice is that in many of the masculine releases that Maurice Roucel has put out, you'll notice the note of lavender over and over and over again. He loves using lavender. And here, you can smell the lavender, but it is extremely sweet. And definitely a cold weather scent if you're a weather appropriate wearer. This, I won't call this a, you know, I'm not going to call this a guilty pleasure yet, because it's not something that I really enjoy so much that I want to wear it. But one day, I will make this my scent of the day. I'll wear it, I'll talk about it on the channel, but most of the time what this ends up being for me is a reference, and it ends up being something maybe I'll spray on before bed and go, why in the hell would anyone want to smell like this? And then my wife will come in and say, oh, you smell good, what's that? And I'm just like, oh God. You didn't say anything about Vert d'Encens or something like that, but you'll give me a compliment on something like this. So that is the trade-off, is many of the things that, you know, the vintage lovers like us like, much of the public doesn't. To be fair, though, to my wife, whenever I spray some of the real old-school animalic stuff that you would think she would hate, like Koros or Antaeus, she loves it. Okay, she loves that. Shockingly, she loves that stuff. But then she also likes stuff like this. So, but if you wanted to smell more mass appealing, or if you want to get an idea of what New Harlem smells like without spending the hundreds, or I've seen some crazy prices, $500 a bottle, do not pay that. But if you can get New Harlem for a good price, maybe go for it. But you know, for me, this $30 replacement works just as well. It probably gives you the very similar vibe. So yes, and you can just go buy it on Fragrance X or fragrancebuy.ca or wherever you buy your discounted fragrances from. Okay, and then going into the new millennia, in the year 2000, he worked with Helmut Lang, and again, there's lavender in this, and this is called Helmut Lang Eau de Cologne. Now, the Eau de Cologne is discontinued, okay? So the Eau de Cologne is discontinued. It's a floral, fresh fragrance that has lavender and rosemary in the top. This is a beautiful, extremely warm summer day scent, right? So if you just want to smell like fresh and invigorating and clean, I'm gonna do a soapy fragrance episode. And sometimes soapy fragrances really smell like soap, and sometimes they just give you this clean vibe. And this floral freshness does give off this soapy, I don't want to really say like pure soap, but it gives you this clean vibe that will insinuate soap, if that makes sense. And so there's lavender and rosemary in the top. The rosemary in the top, to me, is what really makes this stay just on this side of the train tracks of masculine, because rosemary always reminds me of those vintage masculines. Like, you know, my father wore Paco Rabanne pour Homme forever. He still does. And that's from 1973. And that has a rosemary note in it. So many masculine fragrances of old have this rosemary touch, which makes it lean masculine to me. But much else of this fragrance is either completely unisex or maybe even a little feminine, because there's heliotrope, there is jasmine, there's lily of the valley, there's rose, there's lavender in the top. Okay, so the lavender historically is a masculine note, and then there's that white musk in the base that he may have kind of re-pulled out for Uncut Gem. White musk, patchouli, sandalwood, and cedar. And apparently the rumors of this fragrance are that this is supposed to smell, or this was the brief that they gave to Maurice Roucel, is that this was supposed to smell like Helmut Lang's lover. Post-coitus, I'll use the proper term, post-coitus on clean white sheets. Okay? His husband on clean white sheets, or whatever you want to call it. That was the brief that that was given to Maurice Roucel, and this is what they came up with. And it is a very good, fresh fragrance for something that's early 2000s. You know, you don't want to smell what some of the modern stuff the houses have put out in the last 5, 7, 8 years. If you see this for a good price, the Eau de Cologne, I'd say go for it. And you can just spray this on. I mean, you're not going to offend anyone with it. But Helmut Lang Eau de Cologne is discontinued. This is a tester that I was fortunate enough to score from Anuj. So thank you, Anuj. Okay, next we're going to go to the big one. Probably my favorite Maurice Roucel creation. And I do have a vintage bottle. That's the only thing that's going to set this apart from just the one that you can go buy at the local, you know, Macy's counter or at FREDERICMALLE.com. So this is Musc Ravageur. And the way that you can tell the vintage bottle is that the older bottles have this matte cap. So the new Frederic Malle bottles have this shiny, and it has a specific Additions de Parfum logo. Instead of being around here, it's more in the center. You'll be able to tell the difference in the cap. This is the vintage cap. If you can find this version, I would say go for it. I think there's a big difference between this and the modern. The modern version of Musc Ravageur smells much more gourmand. So it's lost any of that animalic musk to me. I have both, actually. I have a decant of the modern and I have this vintage. Maybe one day I'll do a comparison video. But as I've said before, the comparison videos are very stressful to me because I really have to focus. It takes up a lot of my day. It's something that you have to kind of go back and forth and make notes and compare. And so they're hard videos to make. And so sometimes I just kind of grit my teeth and put them off. Although I do have some comparison videos that are in the back of my head that I want to do. Like this is one example. I have a vintage bottle of Derby and I want to do it versus the 2005 bottle of Derby. I have a vintage bottle of Alfred Sung Homme, the purple juice, and I have a modern bottle of Sung Homme. That's a soapy fragrance, by the way. That'll go on the soapy fragrance list, if you will. And so, yes, I mean, I have some comparison videos I want to do. This is one of them, but it's just a matter of doing it. So, Musc Ravageur, what is it? So it's basically a lavender, and the lavender, some people have said that the lavender in here is a strange addition. And that's why I've mentioned that in many of his masculine scents, he uses lavender, even when maybe it doesn't fit. Now, I think it does fit in here, but I have seen some reviews where they say lavender shouldn't be here. Like it throws it throws the feng shui of the fragrance off, if you will. I disagree. But it's cinnamon, lots of cinnamon with bergamot, mandarin orange, lavender, amber, vanilla, musk, and then sandalwood, musk, and patchouli in the base. And it's funny, listening to reviews, people make this out, whenever they do like these animalic lists, what's the most animalic musk? I see people list this and I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't think this is an animalic musk at all. I mean, this older bottle does go more animalic in the dry down, but after that lavender top kind of dissipates. Even this vintage bottle, there's a moment where before the musks of the base really start to kick in, where it smells very gourmand. I mean, the new one almost smells so gourmand that it smells like you're walking by a Cinnabon. If you have a Cinnabon in your mall or airport, you know what I'm talking about. That Cinnabon, sweet, cinnamony, I don't know what you would call those, breakfast bun, smell that just permeates the mall. If you walk by any Cinnabon, if you get within like a mile of a Cinnabon, you can smell it. And that sweet cinnamon vanilla combo, even in the vintage, starts to kind of come through. But what saves the vintage, and the reason this is my favorite Maurice Roucel creation, is that the base, the musks, really start to come out, and they've used a much more animalic musk. And that's what may be challenging to some people, is that animalic musk really combats some of that sweetness to me. That's why I much prefer, the matte cap version of this to the new stuff. Now, if you don't like animalics, if animalics are challenging to you, and you want something that's just more sweet, mass appealing, that kind of thing, go for the new one. The new one fits that bill perfectly. And but what's interesting is, so if you look at the bottom of my bottle, it says that right there, you can see it expires in 2016, which is interesting. They put expiration dates back in the day. It says it was created May of 2011. And so this is an 11-year-old bottle. But don't let expirations fool you. Don't throw your fragrance out because it says it's expired. As long as you keep it in a dark place, it will last decades and decades. And then we've got 2 fragrances left. As we can see, actually 3, I'm sorry. Not very many in my collection. So then we go to the year 2003. And Maurice Roucel created a Guerlain. And so this is between that strange time where Jean-Paul Guerlain was kind of marginalized and pushed to the side. So they were bringing in other perfumers, but he was still kind of seen as a figurehead for the house before he really got the boot and Thierry Vasseur took over. So this is L'Instant de Guerlain for women. Okay, so this came out in 2003, the Eau de Parfum. They did an Eau de Toilette in 2005, interestingly enough, but I think the Eau de Toilette was made by somebody else. I can't remember if that's true or not, but I think so. The original one, 2003, was Maurice Roucel. And this is Bergamot Mandarin Orange, Iris, Jasmine, Magnolia, Common Elder. Okay, so what's interesting is if you take that 24 Faubourg, he used Common Elder there as well. And if you take L'Instant de Guerlain, he used Common Elder. Ylang Ylang, Amber, Benzoin, Honey, Musk, and Vanilla. Again, I like this scent. It really does smell like Guerlain opened up the books to Maurice Roucel and allowed him pure access to their Guerlainade. The base smells like it's there, like it has that ambery, benzoin, vanilla thing going on in the base that Guerlain does so well. The floral is very powdery because of the iris, and I like it, and I'll do a video on it. I don't know if I would spring for a full bottle. I have the same reservation as 24 Faubourg. I like it. It's not my personal thing, though, but I do want to review it. I want to talk about it. Every chance I get to talk about a fragrance like this that's not sitting on my shelf where I can just grab it and talk about it, I want to take advantage of that. So, anything you guys send me, I will review. It may not be for 6 months, but it will happen, I promise. L'Instant de Guerlain for women from 2003 is on that list. It's on the to review list. It's just a matter of forcing myself to wear it as a scent of the day and stuff like that. And then, now we're down to 2. So we've got 1 masculine and 1 feminine fragrance left, according to who they were targeted to. Anyone can wear anything, in my opinion. But the first one is a Jacques Bogart. And it came out in 2004. And this is a cheapie. Probably one of the best cheapies you can buy, actually, in my opinion. This is called Bogart Homme. First of all, I love Bogart's presentation. It's just so no nonsense, you know. The built-in sprayer, which I love, so 80s. And it's got that tower look to it. So, Bogart Pour Homme. And this is 2004. I will tell you basically what this scent smells like to me. It smells like if you took a mixture of Thierry Mugler's Pure Havane and you blended it with something like Le Male. Okay, so if you took that lavender vanilla of Le Male and you blended it with Thierry Mugler's Pure Havane, Amen Pure Havane, with that spicy patchouli and tobacco, you get Bogart Pour Homme. And this stuff is a beast. It is a little bit sweet. This is one of the few sweet fragrances I can tolerate. So I don't just instantly hate all sweet fragrances. In fact, as you've noticed, I like the way Maurice Roucel does sweetness. There's sweetness here. I can stand it. I can stand this a little bit more than this, I think. But there's sweetness here. I like it. This is, you know, Musk Ravageur is a classic. And Bogart Pour Homme is one such fragrance. I don't think it gets enough love. I think because it's a cheapie, people just expect it to kind of suck. But I mean, if you like some of the fragrances I mentioned, if you like Mabussin Pour Homme, this one right here. This is another Le Male-like fragrance that uses this lavender, vanilla, you know, combo thing. If you like Escada Casual Friday, I would urge you to try, because this has DNA of all three of those I just mentioned, but it adds some of the spices and the tobacco. And even though there's not a tobacco note listed, I get a big cherry tobacco note out of this. It smells like very similar ingredients that were used in Amen. So I don't want to say this is a poor man's Amen Pure Havane, but, you know, Pure Havane by Thierry Mugler is officially discontinued, which is extremely sad to me. In fact, I wore Pure Leather to bed last night, like I said, which is also discontinued, and it's just amazing how the House of L'Oreal completely butchered. I mean, they didn't even try. They just took a machete to the House of Thierry Mugler, just butchered it. They didn't even care either. But if you like that honeyed tobacco vibe, even though if you look at the notes, you won't see a tobacco note listed, it's here. Okay, trust me. It's one of the notes that, at least to this nose, I get that's not listed in Bogart Pour Homme. And for 20 bucks, I mean, you can't go wrong. If you're a college kid on a budget or something like that, and you really have to watch your spending, but you want to smell good, different, you know, than what everyone else is wearing, you know, you can't even find Bogarts in store. I don't even think I've ever seen a Bogart in a store. Have you ever seen a Bogart in a store? I think they just go straight to discounters. Maybe they're like in stores in Bangladesh or something, but here, I've never seen a Bogart in a store in the United States. But you can find them on the discounters for super cheap. And some of them I don't like I don't like the current version of One Man Show. I love the vintage. I think it was a great fragrance at one point, but the current version is shite. But much of what they do is high quality for very little money. And that's the amazing. I don't know how Bogart does it. I don't know how they stay in business, but Maurice Roucel made them an amazing fragrance at a great price. And this is one to kind of put on the list. And then if you've never smelled Pure Havane, because it's hard to come by, this could be a good entryway into that DNA. So if you smell this and you really like it, then you can maybe try to go hunt a bottle of Pure Havane down. And finally, we have another early impression video coming soon. And this is from the house of FREDERIC MALLE. And this is Dante Bras. So Dante Bras came out in 2008. And so you can see Maurice Roucel worked with the brand of FREDERIC MALLE for many perfumes. It wasn't just one. He's got multiple perfumes. Now we have Uncut Gem, which I would love to smell. I mean, I trust Rich Mitch's nose. I really do. and I'm 99% sure that he hates it. I'm probably going to hate it because we are tied at the hip as far as, you know, as far as our noses go, hence ram duck. And, you know, that's ram duck territory. We very rarely disagree. I mean, there are some things, don't get me wrong. We don't see eye to eye on everything, but no one should see eye to eye. You know, you have to trust your own nose. Too many people, Rich Mitch said this on the stream a day or two ago, said too many people outsource their knowledge base to somebody else. They let someone else do the thinking, or their smelling in this case, and thinking too. You know, if you talk about knowledge and learning about what's out there in the world, many people outsource it to the news or something like that, or some website or whatever it is, or what someone told them. They don't trust themselves. I trust myself. Rich Mitch trusts himself. That's the difference between us and some people out there. And, you know, I still want to try Uncut Gem for myself, but I have very low expectations after hearing Rich talk about it. But Dante Bra, I have very high expectations for. This is one I have very high expectations for. This is one that I could totally see potentially being a full bottle worthy. It's a floral spicy fragrance with clove, jasmine, violet, bergamot, cashmeran, patchouli, sandalwood, frankincense, heliotrope, and white musk. Again, white musk in the base, heliotrope, and just from the note listing, it smells, I mean, it seems like it would be amazing. I was going to see if Frederic Malle Perfume said anything about it that I could read to you. Let's see. A moment of closeness, full of promise and the addictive feeling of mutual dependency. Cashmeran, which performs like a vibrating musk, is crowned with violet, warmed by heliotrope, and imbued with the saltiness of moist skin. Sandalwood adds a milky softness, and a white musk, a clean magnetism, evoking the scent of someone you couldn't live without. Nice little blurb. Frederic Malle does not mess around with their blurbs. They're like this big, you know. It's not long and drawn out. They just get straight to the point. So yes, this video was about Maurice Roucel, but it was also about the fragrance community as a whole. You know, don't let anyone silence you if you are out there with an opinion. Don't let anyone's hate and vitriol, you know, don't let them, what they spew at you, change what you do. That would be my suggestion to people. You know, you have inner strength. And if, you know, there was a comment left on my channel, maybe a week or so ago, whenever, some of the bad actors were kind of talking shit about me on another channel. They said, "Hey, Ramsey, they're talking bad about you over there. That must mean you're doing something right." And that's exactly the way that I look at it. And that'll never, my mind will never change on that. I will always be a contrarian. I'll always be someone that goes against the stream, goes against the grain, goes against the stream, the fish who swims against the stream, whatever you want to call it. And I trust my own nose. I trust myself. But you know, it is sad to see when you have such a large percentage, such a large population to choose from, and you don't, instead of getting, you know, 100 people out of the 1,800 who are like that, you get one or two. And it just goes to show that maybe the problem isn't with the person that you're mad at. Maybe the problem is with you. Maybe you're the problem if you're that person trying to bring someone else down. I mean, how little do you think of yourself that you have to bring someone else down to feel good? I mean, Jesus. Maybe you should get a different hobby. This hobby is, to me, yes, it's about the perfume, but it's also about the community. And those bad apples in our community make everyone else look bad. And some of the people have capitalized on it. You look at some of the streams that are going on now, it has nothing to do with fragrance. It has absolutely nothing to do with fragrance. It's like, this person said this, drama, explosion. Oh, that's complete bullcrap. You know, that's 8-year-olds. 8-year-olds, dude. The Big Lebowski, 8-year-olds, dude. There's no other way to explain it. It's like dealing with children. And if that's you, just take a good look in the mirror, you know. Ask yourself, is that who you want to be? And don't flip-flop this time. really decide if that's who you are. Own up to it. Don't, oh, you know, come on here under your real name and leave comments. Don't use fake profiles to attack someone. How weak is that? You know, that is that's sophomore, that's freshman, that's rookie mistakes. You know, that is man, own it, be a man. If that's really how you feel, be a man and leave a comment under your real name. But they won't, because they're slimy, and you know, they like to hide in the corner. And that's just, I mean, somehow it makes them feel better to bring you down. If that's you, I would say try to change your ways, because out of a population of whatever subscribers, 1,800, if you're the one person doing that, man, you might have some serious problems. And so maybe you need to find happiness in a different hobby. So anyways, that's my rant on the perfume, perfume game, the perfume Fragcomm, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I look at Fragcomm like a vessel. We all have stuff that we can either add to it or take away. And if you're adding something positive to Fragcomm, good on you. But if you're trying to be one of the negative people who suck energy away from it, who bring people down, who have jealousy in their heart, then you need to take a good look in the mirror. That's my 2 cents on it. So to the 99.9% of you, thank you. Seriously, I've really enjoyed the journey so far. Here's to many more years. I'm not going to let any naysayers, or in modern lingo, I guess they would be called haters. I'm not going to let any haters stop the train that we have rolling. I'm loving this. There's so many fragrances to review and talk about. And if you look behind me, I don't need brands to send me bottles. I don't need affirmation from the people who are haters. I don't need that. I can just do my thing, whether people like it or not. That's you know, obviously I would love it if people that I respected and trust liked my work and what I'm putting out. And I shouldn't even call it work, because it's not work for me. I love doing this. I love interacting. I love talking about fragrances. It's one of the finest hobbies I think that a person can have, because it's intellectual. It stimulates your brain throughout the day. It gives you something else to focus on. So while you're working, you can smell how the fragrance breaks down. You can find meaning in perfume. You know, it's not just about a smell. Some people are shocked by how much some of us love perfume, but it's because it's more than just a smell. You know, it literally turns into an art form. And that love of perfume is what you should be highlighting on your streams and channels, not, you know, which person said this about that person and what the drama is, and you know, show some girl who's half naked on your thumbnail turned backwards with her butt hanging out saying sexy fragrances. That's not what the fragrance game is about. And the people who have gone that route, you know, and you know who you are. The people who have gone that route are they're not fragrance enthusiasts anymore. They're just using fragrance as a tool to either get famous or popular or make money. Once your goal is to make money off of this, off of YouTube, off of your channel, you've lost your passion. That's it. You're controlled by the dollar. The difference is, for me, is that this is a passion. And even though I turned on monetization, I did it because YouTube was putting ads on my channel anyways. And I said, you know what? I'm going to use some of that money, even if it's $100 a month, whatever small amount it is. I'm going to use it to buy a fragrance every month or something like that. And so that is how I kind of viewed it. But this is not a business for me. This is a hobby. And this is a passion. And so I'll never go against what I feel is true. What I feel is truth. If I smell a fragrance, I think it's shite, I'm going to say it's shite. I think it's great and everyone else hates it, I'm going to say it's great. And that kind of autonomy and freedom flies in the face of many of the channels who are trying to either make money or become YouTube famous. I don't want to become YouTube famous. You know, it's not why I'm here. And so that, I think, is kind of what differentiates us. And to the haters out there, I would love to see you do an hour or 2 hour video without saying or taking a break to pause. But you know, keep the fake hate coming. Maybe I'll leave them on for everyone to see, instead of taking them down from now on. But, you know, that's my Maurice Roucel video. That's my take on the fragrance community. Try to be a force for good instead of a negative force trying to drag people down. So cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.